Namaste, gods, goddesses, and emissaries of light. This is Dr. Shreya Tayen. And if you are new to my channel, please like, subscribe, and do not forget to hit the notification bell so you can be updated on my latest and my current videos. Welcome, 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 everyone. If you can hear by my voice, I am barely doing this video. With a little bit of energy that I have, so I won't keep long. I'll get straight to the point. This journey is not for the faint of hearts. I'm telling you, I'm not having the dark night of the soul. I'm having the darkest night of the soul. On my 10th day of my vegan detox, going into my 11th, number 11 is really beneficial here, you guys. On my 11th day, my Kundalini, it rose. And I'm telling you, I know what Jesus meant when he said that in order for us to enter into the kingdoms of the heaven, we must be born again. I felt like I was about to die. My blood pressure shot up to 175/96. I literally thought I was going to die. I called my husband and I told him I was dying, because that's what I felt like. I was surprised that when I went to sleep, I woke up. I even told my kids I was dying, and they looked at me. My son called off from work. I didn't even want to go to the hospital. I actually called the ambulance. And I just told them, just check my vital. That's all I need for you to do. I don't need you to do anything else but to check my vitals. And I can determine from there what's going on with me. So that's how I got the number for my blood pressure. And they told me that if I rode in the ambulance, that my son couldn't go with me. Bullshit. You think I'm about to go to the hospital and they give me meds, I'm incoherent. No one's there to watch my personal belongings. No one's there to speak for me. Hell to the no. I told them I'm not going to the hospital, at least not by ambulance. And they said due to COVID. That's the reason why my son couldn't ride with me. He had already took off of work too. So, I say all this to say many divine feminines in the collective are experiencing their kundalinis rising. Some of their kundalinis are getting stuck in their lower chakras. I speaking to a good friend of mine, hers was stuck in her solar plexus. Another friend of mine, her kundalini is stuck in her heart chakra. These are the areas where the kundalini energy is needed the most, and that's why it's stuck there. Mine got stuck in my crown chakra. And I've been doing extensive research on this. And to my knowledge, the only thing that you can do is surrender. Surrender it to Source, to God. And I learned how to speak to the Kundalini today. And I asked the Kundalini to turn it down a notch. Well, 10 notches. Or maybe 20. because the energy was too intense. It's not only the divine masculines that are awakening, but it is the divine feminines that are also awakening. I always wondered what it would feel like. I thought that it would be this bliss of nirvana, and I'll be in this utopia, and all will be so great and grand, and I'll have this new sense of enlightenment. I'm not gonna lie, I've been receiving download codes. My daughter sat next to me and she started having downloads. She said, "Mommy," she said, "my ears is ringing bad when I just sat down next to you." I said, "That's because you're receiving download codes." She said, "Is that what it is?" I said, "Yes." She was like, "Oh my God, that is so cool." So even for my daughter just sitting next to me, she also benefited from receiving downloads. You guys, we are truly becoming superhuman. We're moving into our crystalline bodies out of the carbon, which the 3D was the container for us. Now we're in 5D. Gaia is in 5D. And as much as we may try to fight it, what you resist persists. And so I've learned in this awakening that I'm going through to surrender and just acknowledge His presence. I meditate daily anyway, but you guys, I've been meditating like it's nobody's business. Like, seriously, I've been forced to be like within 2 to 3 hours of meditation. Because the more I meditate, the more the energy of the Kundalini fire dies down. Source has been telling me a long time ago to meditate more. And I'm like, but I'm already meditating enough. You guys, please honor your bodies and what your body tells you to do. I was supposed to do this fast 3 months ago. I just started to fast. And I'm not going to say it was too late, but I'm going to say that if I would have did it 90 days ago, these events that happened the way that they happened would not have transpired the way that they did. Our bodies are supposed to be treated well. We're supposed to put good foods inside of our bodies and not trash, not garbage. Garbage in, garbage out, Gigo. But when we put good foods into our bodies are more receptive. Our bodies are more accepting and receptive to what we're putting in. Electric foods of the gods and the goddesses. I'm not gonna lie, I really felt like I was going to ascend earlier than what I anticipated. And my daughter came to me and she said, "Mommy, you have survived more than this. You survived MRSA. You survived breast cancer. This is nothing, Mommy, in comparison to what you've been through." She said, "You're going to make it through this. You're not going to leave this earth. You got so much more that you have to do." And I looked around in my room, all the books that are stacked up in my bookshelf, and I got so many books that I got them even on my couch. My couch is covered with books. And I was just reading a book the night before it happened. I'm always reading. And one of the things that I can remember and I can recall was the book talking about our connection to God's source and communing with God in meditation and not to escape it. Prayer is a form of meditation, but meditation is more so God's source can speak to us. And many of us like to escape it. Many of us don't know how to meditate. And it's because we don't have enough iridium. Thank you, source. We don't have enough iridium in our bloodstream, which helps us to calm and relax our minds. Iridium is an important element, just like gold and platinum. Monatomic gold is really good for those of you that are having problems meditating. So I'm here to tell you that awakening, it may not be for you what it was for me. It may not be as intense as my awakening, but just know that you're not awakening to something that you already are not. You are awakening to something that you already are. You're not learning new gifts. No. You're learning old gifts of eons and eons ago that you were not cognizant of because of the spiritual amnesia and the mental swiping that we got from the angels when we came through the star nebula. We forgot who we were. But when you awaken, you start to remember who you are. Not what you used to be. Not what you're going to be. But who you truly are to the core essence of your being. And everybody that is meant to be in your life will vibrate to you and come to you and stick by your side. This awakening has really truly opened up my eyes. I am not seeing things the way that I used to see things, that's for sure. I've become sensitive to light. You know, I always wondered with Billy Carson why he always wore sunglasses. And they spoke of him having a light sensitivity. I'm experiencing that now in my awakening. I'm sensitive to light. I prefer the dark now. It's like I'm almost living like a bat. And if some of you are familiar with the hangman and tarot, that symbolism of the man hanging upside down came from a bat. And that's what I'm going through. Hopefully for me, this will pass. I don't want to go around for the rest of my life being sensitive to light. I love light. I went out today in the sun and I grounded myself. I walked barefooted in the grass and I sun gazed. For the very first time in a very long time, I stared at the sun and immediately I felt the rays of the sun kiss against my skin, and I started to get download codes again. I felt it in my vibration. It was so intense. I couldn't stand there long enough. I became weak. So my daughter had to escort me back in the house. And she asked me, she said, "Mom, are you okay?" I said, "Yeah, I got what I needed." Sometimes we don't have to stare in the sun for 10 minutes. Sometimes we can just stare for a minute or two and get what we need. We're told not to stare in the sun because we can become blind. That's a lie. We're told not to deal with tarot or dabble into that because it's from the devil. Everything that's good for us, we're told not to do. We end up following after the masses. And if you remove the M from masses, what do you have left? Exactly my point. There is a reset button that has been pushed with COVID. And that reset button is helping us to reconnect back to God's source. To the only one true power. It is not about your religion. It is not about your occupation. It's not even about your level of credentials in, your occupation or your income or your credit score. If you don't have spirituality, those things mean nothing. This is about eternity, immortality. We always trying to learn better ways to live. I'm trying to learn how not to come back here. I'm learning about death. I'm teaching myself how to become a death doula or a death midwife or a spirit midwife. It's not life that intrigues me anymore. It's death that intrigues me. Because I've been faced with death so many times in my life and I've never been scared, not one time. I've always welcomed it. It's like breaking out of prison. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying this because I want to die. I'm not saying this because I want death to come upon me. I'm just saying that spirituality, true spirituality, is not learning about how to really live. It's about learning how to prepare to die. Both literally and symbolically. I truly, you guys, I admit that after I had that experience, well, it was just a day ago when I opened up my eyes every time I went to sleep, and I opened up my eyes, and I still saw Mahalakshmi hanging on my wall, the zodiac signs hanging on my wall. I said every time, I'm still alive. Because each time that I went to sleep, I thought I was going to die in my sleep. But I didn't. I asked God, how come people don't talk about this? Because not many people are on the path to awakening. That's why. It's not a commonplace. Narrow and cramped is the road that leads off into everlasting life, but broad and spacious is the road that leads to death. Jesus said it. I have had my first Kundalini Awakening, and I pray it's my last. I really don't want to go through this again. It was scary, and I'm still in it. My head is pounding. I felt like my head was going to explode. I read something today, and it said the divine feminine energy is dark. And it's true. The divine feminine energy is dark. And it went on to say it can deliver you or it can destroy you. I embrace the divine feminine that I am in its totality. After I channeled that our divine masculines are awakening video, this happened to me the next day. The Kundalini hit so high, traveled up my spine. I felt it, you guys. It was a fire. I got so hot. I was so hot. It felt like I was burning. And it shot up into my head. And it stayed there. And I really felt like my head was going to explode. I showered. And when I showered and the shower hit the back of my neck, it got more intense. I came out and I called my husband and I was crying. And he said, did you do something to yourself? I said, no. He was like, okay. He said, did you take a shower? I said, yes. It got more intense. And he was like, just breathe in and out, okay? Just take deep breaths. Breathe in your nose. Exhale through your mouth. And it was so crazy because after I got off the phone with him, I was trying to search what was going on with me. And I was reading about people who had stuck Kundalini in their head. And that was the advice that many of them gave, is to breathe in and out. I hope that if any of you are going through this or have experienced this, that this helps. That this video helps you in some way. And it said not to resist it. Oh my God, you guys. It felt like lightning struck inside my skull and shook my brain. And my brain inflamed. I know my brain had to be at least 3 times its original size, because I felt like it was going to crack my skull. You guys, my life will never be the same after this. I promise you. This is just the beginning. This is not even a spiritual quest. This is more like a spiritual vision or a spiritual dream that's being played out in reality. There's so many levels to this. And I really feel like I'm just reaching first base. I'm not into orthodox medicine, but thank God for Advil and ibuprofen and all the meds for pain relief. Because that's the only thing that has gotten me through. I could barely move. I could barely walk. And I didn't even realize how much of our neck muscles we use when we walk until now. I've gotten to a point where I honor good health now. We can take good health for granted. I talked to my body today and told my body how much I loved her and that I will honor her and put only good things into her and love and cherish her and feed her mind, body, and spirit. And immediately I felt a shift. I felt a healing. Our bodies speak to us in the form of dis-ease and pain when things are out of balance and when things need to be put back in balance. So if our body speaks to us, why can't we speak back to our bodies? We can. I never thought to speak to my body before until I had this awakening. I never thought to speak to the Kundalini because I never felt it so intense until now. All right, you guys, I'm going to leave you with this. Thank you so much for listening and chiming in. I hope that you learned something. Just know that there's going to be a lot of us that are going to be experiencing this Kundalini Awakening, and it's going to be different for all of us, Source said. Not all of us are going to have stuck Kundalini in our heads. Hopefully, your angels and your guides will be there for you like mine were for me, helping you to direct that energy and shoot it out to the universe, to connect with the universal source and love. All right. Namaste.